What's up guys, Tech Ronin here. Today we got a fun one planned. I am going to be testing out the DJI Mini 5 Pro as far as its range is concerned. It's absolute, how far can this thing fly within FCC regulations? So what does that mean? We're going to be under 400 feet today. Now granted, we're at an elevated position, so as we go down, we're a little higher than 400 technically, but the FCC defines it as it's where you take off from. So we're at about 380 feet from up from where I took off at, and we're pushing it full speed ahead. So I'm in normal mode, flight mode, and ever since I went forward on the stick, I've been forward on the stick. I only went up on the up stick to bring us up to 380 feet in height. But the whole rest of the time, I'm gonna have the stick pegged all the way straight forward, flying forward at about 33 miles an hour, it looks like. And this thing here, I mean, it does have great range. And again, that is in part next to FCC rule number 2 for flying a drone. This one is a smaller size and weight, obviously. It's under the 250 marker. The next thing here that really helps us is line of sight. The FCC requires you have line of sight. Now that doesn't mean you have to physically be able to see your drone. It means you have to have a clear line of sight from your remote control or receiver to your drone. So that is what we are doing here. I'm in an elevated position on top of a mountain. I'm at the lookout post. There's nothing blocking me from my drone. And since my drone is 380 feet above where I'm standing at, well, it was a while ago, since it is that, it's in an elevated position, meaning I have a clear line of sight between my controller and my drone at all time on this. This flight is going to be, the other day I went for 4 miles out and 4 miles back. That's an 8-mile flight, okay? So what we're doing today is we're going for 27,000 feet away from me. So 26,000 and something feet is 5 miles. So I'm trying to get to about 5.5 miles out, maybe 5.25 or something like that, 27,000 feet, turn it back around and fly it the 27,000 feet back. That'll be, we'll call it a 10-mile flight because we're just over 5 miles out and just over 5 miles back. So looking down below us here, beautiful scenery. The settings of the drone camera that we're currently flying right now, we are at 4K, 24 frames a second for cinematic purposes. I'm trying not to turn the drone, one, because it will affect the distance I'm able to fly, and two, because it will also affect the shakiness of this footage. And for cinematic purposes, while we're flying straight, I figure we'll fly it straight, shoot it right, and make it look beautiful no matter what happens. So things to consider when flying out at this distance. I would recommend do it on a day where it's nice and clear. Do it in a day where it's early in the morning like it is for me right now, where it's nice and cool. It's about 74 degrees outside, 72, something like that at the time of this flying. The reason for that is your motors will not get as warm. Now, I haven't found the drone heats up terribly. It does in the sunlight, obviously, but it doesn't get too crazy hot mechanically. Same thing with battery discharge. It doesn't heat up the drone that much. So when the drone is landing from a flight this long, what I feel is the rotors, the motors inside the rotors are warm. But I mean, again, they've been turning at a tremendous rate of speed for a very, very long time. So that makes sense. That's why I recommend a nice cool day. Do it on a day that is not overcast. You want to have as little moisture in the air, precipitation. Don't do it when it's foggy. If you're going to be flying like this, you can see here at the top of the screen on this view, it's still clear outside. It's nice and clear. It's a nice, beautiful day. But we are making absolutely positively sure that we have as little things affecting us as possible. So the controller for this test is charged all the way up. The Mini 5 Pro that I'm flying right now, my Mini 5 Pro, has the Fly More kit, so all of the batteries are fully charged. The controller and all 3 batteries in the kit. Granted, we can only have 1 battery in the drone, so this is just 1 fully charged remote, 1 fully charged DJI Mini 5 Pro drone. And we are flying it out, like I said, to about 5.5, 5.25 miles out and 5.25 miles back. We are in normal mode. We are currently traveling about 33 miles an hour, give or take a little here and there. So far, it looks like the system is functioning just fine. The RC on the remote is still white. So good news there. The remote control hasn't turned and let me know that, hey, we're losing signal. In fact, we've only lost 1 bar of the RC remote signal, which means it's still currently white. If you're familiar with the readout, it'll let you know your signal strength is white is fine, yellow is us getting a little shaky, and then red is we're about to have a problem. So nice and easy there. Got some kids going by on bikes in the background over here. So this drone, it boasts that it can go 12 miles range. And a lot of people have said, well, no, in the real world, it's not going to do that. Well, I'm going to show you in this test that that's actually pretty accurate. If you are realistic about how physics work and distance works. What I mean by that is, if you were to fly 6 miles out and 6 miles back, you will have flown 12 miles, which is effectively a 12-mile flight. That's the range of the drone. Now, if you were to want to say, well, I want to go 12 miles straight forward, well, that's fine. You can do that. Just turn off the return to home and your drone's going to land 12 miles away from where you took off, or pretty close to, depending on the wind. Also, the wind is a big factor. I made sure the wind is extremely low this morning before I took off for this flight, because wind is a big factor. If you're not careful and you fly off and it's windy, it's not going to go near as far, or it's going to go much further than you expected, much faster than you expected, and not be able to climb against the wind to make it home all the way. So bear in mind, keeping an eye out for your wind conditions. That's going to be a factor no matter what happens. So again, in this scenario, we're flying about a 5.25 mile out and 5.25 mile back. Now, I've flown an 8-mile flight before with this drone, and during that flight, I realized that the real limitations of the drone, given the FCC rules here, we're on top of a mountain, we're under 400 feet, right under 400 feet up, and we have a line of sight with the controller and the drone that's unaffected by anything in its way. So I know at 8 miles out, I was barely even yellow on the RC remote, which tells me I could have flown much further. I have flown this drone to failure before and let it return home. It is what it is. It was an accident. I mean, I was pushing it pretty hard, but everything worked out fine. It did what it was supposed to do. It came right back to me safely. So that being said, when I do something like this, I'm assuming it's going to return to home before there's a big problem that I'm unfamiliar with. But that is based on the wind and how hard you're going to push the drone. So again, as we fly out here, we are inside the parameters of where we need to be. But in order to keep this thing in the air, I would say comfortably, I could probably go 11 miles, maybe 12 miles. So 5.5 miles out, 5.5 miles back, it's 11 miles. I could do the 6 and 6. I'm gonna maybe try that one day. But what I'm thinking is, on this flight here, when we return back, the battery level is gonna be pretty low. Like, we're gonna be in almost dangerous territory. I'm thinking. Now, I could be wrong. I could be doing the math wrong, because looking at the remote, it's telling me that my screen recording and my camera recording has been going on for X amount of minutes, like, I don't know, 8 minutes and something. Well, the estimated battery on the remote is telling me that the remote battery has about 12 minutes it can fly back. All right, now that number changes based on speed, wind, etc., etc. And sometimes it's wrong and it updates itself as it's flying, and it might say 12 minutes now, and 8 minutes into the flight back, it may say 12 minutes left on the battery. So it is feasible at this height, with this wind, this temperature, all of the conditions I've got right now during this flight, I could foreseeably fly this thing 6 miles away from me comfortably and fly it back to me. Now, I haven't had any major problem or issue or anything like that as far as the remote and connectivity is concerned. I am turning around right now because I am at 27,215 feet from where I took off. So we just did a quick little spin around. headed back towards the home point. You can't see it marked on this screen here, but it is marked on my remote that I am using to fly back. So I know I'm going in the right direction and I'm returning back. Now again, we are 27,000 feet away from where we took off. That's just over 5 miles. So for this test, I set out to do a 10-mile flight, 5 miles at least out, 5 miles at least back. And again, the big problem, not problem, but the big concern here that I'm thinking about is battery life. And I'm not worried about the wind. As long as the drone operates fine and the rotors or motors don't crap out on me, everything's gonna be just fine. But I am a little concerned with the battery life on these. Now, I know they make bigger batteries and bigger, heavier drones, etc., but just the standard Mini 5 Pro, even if you don't have the Fly More kit, on a fully charged battery in the right circumstances, at the right elevation, with a clear line of sight, you could fly this thing 12 miles. I mean, I feel comfortable with my 10-mile limitation based on my 8-mile flight the other day. So I've already gotten past the controller connectivity issues. So when you're flying out is when you're least likely going to be losing, or most likely to lose signal, because you're pushing it further and further and further away from the remote. Now, I've already passed that hurdle now and I feel super safe flying back. Provided the battery holds up, I'm going to land just fine. I'll have more than 5 minutes worth of fly time. And this is important. If you haven't ever flown a drone or you're unfamiliar with DJI drones, for sure on the Mini 5 and the 3, I think also, because I had one of those till I horribly crashed it. On this Mini 5 Pro, if you have 5 minutes estimated battery life left on the drone, the smart battery, the remote starts beeping at you in the most annoying fashion. The drone will automatically try to return home, which you can just cancel that if you're already flying home, because you're probably going to be able to fly home a lot better and more efficiently than the drone is going to, because it's going to go up to the ceiling of its flight and then it's going to fly home, and that's just unnecessary, unused energy you don't need to waste. You can stay at the same altitude and fly it back yourself. It's just a lot easier to do that. I will say this, flying this thing out, I feel totally fine and comfortable it's going to return back to me, because when you get that beeping sound at the 5-minute marker, it makes that last 5 minutes a little more dicey. And if you've already got drone anxiety, or you're like, all right, I just flew this thing 9 miles and I'm exhausted from flying the thing and mentally focusing on it and worrying about it, and I just want it to land safely, my finger is tired from pressing the stick forward, the last thing you want during that last mile that may or may not be, might be close or hectic, you don't want the whole time for the remote to be going beep, 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 letting you know of the impending doom if you don't land soon. I feel like that's not, it's not a good feature. Now, you can't always mute the remote by pulling down on the screen and all this other stuff, and I'm pretty sure it mutes all sound functions of the remote, like takeoff, landing, that kind of stuff. I'm assuming it takes away the emergency beeps as well. But when I fly a nice long flight like this, I have all the functionality of the remote on. I have the sound. I want to hear what it's telling me. If I'm too much wind. If you want to do a flight like this and go for distance like we're doing, if the controller signifies to you that there's a wind warning, you need to turn around and cancel your long flight and do it on a different day. A wind warning will automatically affect the return to home feature on your drone and can cause issues, because the GPS return home feature is flying back essentially on basically about the same path that it took to get to where you are. And in order for that to happen, it can't be blown off course by 4 miles or 2 miles or 3 miles, because it would affect it. So that being said, if you're getting that wind warning that comes up and flashing on your remote and it's red and it says, hey, we've detected high wind speeds, GPS satellites can't track, return to home is not going to work, don't do it. Because if you're flying for distance and you lose the remote signal, the drone will return home provided you haven't disabled that feature. It will come back to you, provided you're not way too far away or some other crazy thing is going on. That's a very handy thing to have in the event you lose signal. And I have lost signal before. Now, if you lose signal, don't set the remote down and freak out. Keep an eye on it, because signal will return to the remote and the drone. They will reestablish a connection, which is a really, really cool feature. Once it reestablishes that connection with the controller, you can then take over and resume flying normally. You just have to disable the return to home autopilot feature so that you can then take over and fly, which is fine. It's totally easy to do. It's not going to be a problem for you. But so far in this flight, we are looking good. We are, wow, it's hard to even imagine, but we are flying along, no problems whatsoever. Nice and smooth. Looks like we are about 15 minutes into this flight. 15 minutes, 20 seconds, something like that into this flight. We are returning home already. We have successfully gone out about 27,000, I think it was 100 or 200 something feet, something like that. Over 27,000 feet. So we hit the 5 mile mark. We're flying home now. We're about 380 feet in the air, traveling at 33 miles an hour. Guys, this is Tech Ronin. I've been away for a little bit, haven't been doing much tech videos lately, but I'm gonna start doing a lot more of them to show you guys some of my favorite tech and some of my favorite things. But this is the DJI Mini 5 Pro. I'm gonna put a link in the description for the Fly More kit. It's got all the batteries that I have. It's the 3 battery kit. Comes with the ND filters and everything you need to get moving. It comes with a really nice controller that you don't have to use your phone on, which is a big plus, especially if you like to have something on in your Bluetooth in your ear. This is not paid for or sponsored by DJI in any way. I just love their stuff. I've got 2 of their gimbals, the Osmo 4 and the 8. I've got the Mic Mini or Mic Pro or whatever it is here, microphone kit that I'm using to record the audio for this video. I've had a DJI Mini 3. I've actually had 2 of them. One of them was my friend's, and then I crashed it, and then bought him one. Then I bought me one, and then I crashed mine. And now I have a DJI Mini 5 Pro that I've flown over 300 miles on, guys. Over 300 miles of successful flights. One of those flights wasn't very successful because we hit a branch and we crashed horribly, but the drone wasn't affected. It didn't even break one of the rotors. Now, while we're talking about rotors, I have not replaced the rotors on this drone one time. It has flown over 300 miles. We are right in the middle of a 10-mile flight, and I have not had one rotor related problem with this drone. That really does say something about the precision and the quality and the strength of the composite of not just the drone itself, but these rotors that are on the drone, because they have rotated and rotated and rotated. And when you're flying on a hot summer day or it's warm outside and it's baking the plastic on the drone and the rotors, that plastic over time will degrade enough to where they could break or snap or pop off or anything, and that would be catastrophic in a long flight. So they do recommend you replace them. I don't know how long they say to replace them every so many flights. I'll have to look at that at some point. I'm just pushing this thing as hard as I can to see what kind of punishment this thing will take. Not physical or stupid kind of behavior, but I fly in sport mode a lot when I'm in big open areas and nobody's around and I can like really open the thing up. That's a lot of fun. And I am doing these distance tests to kind of show that, well, the specs are right. This drone does have an effective range, I would say, of at least 10 miles. That is provided we land safely here in a moment, which I know we will, but it also lets me know that you could probably say it has an effective range of 12 miles. You can fly 6 miles straight out and 6 miles back. That's 12 miles of flight covered. And I feel pretty confident that it would make it that 12 miles. I will probably do a 12-mile flight, which, I mean, would be almost redundant because all we would be doing is just pushing it 1 mile past where we went today. And really, there's really not much point in doing that. I mean, the controller was still 3 bars of signal on it with the drone and the remote control. It was yellow with 3 bars of signal, which means I could have lost another bar or 2 before it was a serious problem. And I feel like within a mile, that wouldn't have been a problem whatsoever. But very successful flight, guys. We're coming back in here to the lookout tower where I'm camped out at. Very, very cool. DJI Mini 5 Pro, guys. Link in the description if you want to pick it up from Amazon. It's an affiliate link. I'll make a nickel or 2 off of it, you know, which is fine. And you won't pay any extra. And you'll get it sent, delivered right to you and pay the best price Amazon can offer you. But thanks so much for watching, guys. This is the Tech Ronin, or Ronin for some of you hardcores out there. Yeah, thanks for watching, boys. I hope you all have a great day. See ya.